Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Today we're going to talk about a few cool things that I have been discovering in the past perhaps 2 years. And this is really interesting because already, there was this big, huge console war that started when the PS4 and the Xbox, One came out. It was like, okay, so, what's the better console? Which one's better? Which one's best? But at the end of the day, when it came to, games and value, Sony won this console generation war. Now, what's crazy is that war is just an artificial war that players made up for themselves. If you wanted, you could have bought both consoles, and if you enjoyed one console and enjoyed the economy, you would most likely own the other for specific games. And so I think the people who enjoyed playing on the Xbox, they benefited from buying a PS4 or PS4 Pro to play the console exclusives, the God of War, the Sony Spider-Man, Uncharted games, all that cool stuff. And so that was a really cool aspect to it. But this so-called war on who was able to make more games and provide more value, I don't know if that translated to profits. And the reason I say I don't know is because we've not been able to see the profit data. Yes, we do know Sony did, sell a bunch of consoles, which, yes, that will be profitable in a sense. But then we also found out that Microsoft did not make a lot of console exclusives. In fact, they canceled, this Scaleborn. Scaleborn was this game that was teased. Not just teased, there was like gameplay in terms of like its, marketing cycle. There was literally a gameplay sequence where you could see it. And is it Scalebound? Scalebound. I'm sorry. Here it is. And, they teased this game and then they canceled the game. They pulled the plug on the game. And I've been looking and saying, what is Xbox and what is Microsoft doing? But if you think about it, the money that Microsoft and Xbox did not spend in development was just pocketed and kept in the company's reserves. So thereby, by default, keeping them still financially in a good place. So if you look at like God of War, I think God of War was developed with about maybe $40 million or so. Those are the numbers that I remember off the top of my head. I've been into this whole thing and following it like a hawk. And if you say, okay, so God of War, sold for $40 million, and then, maybe the game, it was developed for $40 million. Maybe the game came out and eventually covered its cost. Their profit margins will probably have still, put them at a place where they could make that same amount of money. So spend $40 million, make $42 million, or make $60 million. Nonetheless, it still keeps Microsoft in a place because it's another $20, $30, $40 million that Microsoft did not spend and put in their pockets. So instead, Microsoft just went ahead and promoted other games, went ahead and developed their, Xbox Game Pass system, which is what I'm gonna pivot into, and you're gonna see how smart their CEO, who's in charge of like their Xbox, whatever, how brilliant that guy is. You're gonna see his genius here in a little bit. And so as Sony was developing all these games, pushing their consoles and building their own reputation for the next generation, which is what they've done, Microsoft was busy preparing for the next console generation and also grabbing on to the PC market. My goodness, this is amazing how these people who are leading and driving these companies, how they think and play to their own strengths and just abandon things that they're not really good at. And so Microsoft started creating its Xbox Game Pass in that period and started to sign up, put all these games on there. Xbox Game Pass seemed really scanty when it first started. It didn't seem like it was worth $4 a month. Now it is absolutely worth that amount. And then they've brought it to a PC, which has now bridged the gap and has removed the veil that's holding back some games as Epic Games Store exclusives. So if you look at the Outer Worlds, you can purchase it on Epic Games Store, but you can also purchase it through the Xbox store, and you can have it if you don't want to have Epic Games run on your computer. You can run another platform that is Windows based, that has everything, all the functionality that you need, and you can get the game. In fact, you can even get the game up for a subscription and not pay full price and just play the game and beat the game, which is kind of a better value for your money. So Microsoft seems to be honing down this ecosystem with these games that are curated and putting on their store. In fact, Metro Exodus right now, if you don't want to buy an Epic Games, if you get Xbox Game Pass, guess what? Metro Exodus is right there right now, which was a big fiasco for a lot of people. And so that was just one step that Microsoft was taking. Xbox was just taking and building. And then another thing too was they started acquiring a lot of studios. The studio that made and developed Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, Ninja Theory, they purchased Ninja Theory, and Microsoft gave them full creative license and full creative authority over their works and their IPs that they're going to be doing. So they have creative freedom. The head of that studio was able to negotiate a deal where they were able to get creative freedom. So they're going to be making their games, yes, in light of the parameters within their contract, and they're going to be ready to make Xbox exclusive games. Now, perhaps because of the way Microsoft ecosystem is, you don't have to worry. If you're a PC gamer, you will most likely get those games day one or even early access if you're getting the Xbox Game Pass. So this is where the next console war is going to be going. And then because of this, push for Microsoft, not even a push, but just a very subtle yet effective way of winning a huge gamer base, Sony has also started to follow suit. I think what really keyed me into Sony's own, following suit was not necessarily like Street Fighter V. Street Fighter V was a console exclusive for the PlayStation, but then it was on PC. Now, that was a thing that kind of was like, well, that's kind of weird. And I guess maybe they wanted to keep it open for PC players. And then, Sony and Capcom having a good relationship wanted to kind of just keep Xbox, in a little corner. And so it wasn't necessarily that collaboration or that, situation over there. It was more, what's the name of Quantic Dreams or something, the company that designed Beyond Two Souls and Detroit Become Human and another game. So these three games eventually ended up on the Epic Games Store, and I was like, wait, what's going on? Why are these studios who are supposedly making PS4 exclusives traditionally, why are they now moving to the PC platform? It seems Sony wants to start capturing the audience, and I think what just finally sealed my suspicion is Death Stranding being announced for PC. I think from now Sony is going to start putting heavily more of their titles on PC. The one that I will have to say, I'm not really certain, but it'll be a massive move, is if we see The Last of Us Part 2 show up on PC. And I'm not going to write it off. I think it's a possibility. I think it's a very strong possibility because these are titles that everyone on the PlayStation and, Sony and PS4, PS3 community, rave about. The first Last of Us game, everybody raved about the game. Everybody said how great the game was, how good the game was. And I'm sure a lot of people on PC who are not interested in getting a console are probably saying, well, it's a great game, but I'll probably never get to play it. And yet there's a huge PC base out there, which is something that I should have highlighted at the beginning of this video. There is a very big player base for PC, and this boom started about 3 years ago when PC parts started to get a lot more accessible to a lot of people. Yes, when Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency came around in like 2017, those prices were just, artificially inflated, but nobody paid attention. And now PC parts are cheap as dirt. I mean, I saw a GTX 1060 just the other day for listing in working condition on my local Facebook buy sell trade for $80. I mean, that is a GTX 1060. That thing can play almost any game. And so if you're looking to start a PC, get a little gaming PC off the ground, you can do it right now for about $400-$500. In fact, $300 if you're very lucky and you find somebody who wants to upgrade their stuff and their old stuff just sitting there gathering dust. So this next console generation and this next console war is not going to be easy for Sony to just come in and dominate by making a lot of exclusives. They're going to have to make exclusives. They're going to have to make some kind of a package to have people play those old PS3 games. Their PlayStation Now, subscription, there were reports that it wasn't really doing well. And so they had to add God of War and some other games that people enjoyed in order to start pushing it. That was another thing that kind of keyed me into them starting to play a much more aggressive game, because they kind of sat, comfortably in terms of their console sales and the amount of people that play on PlayStation. But think about it. Microsoft did not just sit there and just kind of let them just run everything. Microsoft was playing a very strategic game. So this next console generation is going to be really interesting. And these are my thoughts. These are the happenings that are going on that I'm, using as kind of markers to see if these things are actually, how I deem them to be. And I think they are. But, things can change. I might be wrong, but trust me, these things have been happening for about 3 years, and they're just happening, little by little. But when you start piecing them together, you start to see exactly, oh my goodness, this is what this whole picture looks like. And it gets me really excited because with the competition now, you're going to start seeing some really cool stuff that's available for gamers, both on PC or both platforms. And, I would say if you're already signed up to buy one of the big consoles, you might just want to wait and see exactly and take a bird's eye look at all this stuff and see that maybe a gaming PC is your best bet. And then when the consoles maybe get a little cheaper, you can pick up one for yourself if you just want to have the console. But largely, I think as a PC gamer, you're probably going to outlast a lot of these consoles, just as I've from experience. I'm about to switch console generations as a PC gamer. I have a PS4 Pro here, and it's about to become, the old system. I have a PS3. It's also about to become the old system. Yet all those PS3 games that people are begging and crying and dying for, that are not like exclusives or that have a PC port, I'm able to play them whenever I want. I don't have to plug up a whole new console. I can just access them. So I'm going to get out of your hair. We can continue this conversation later on if I see something that's really cool, or if I'm able to make a much more, clippy, beautiful presentation of a video. But for now, this is Friday night, and you guys are going to get the rough version. But I expect you guys, to understand everything that I'm saying. And if you have any other thoughts towards this, or you have something to add, please do so in the comment section. I really appreciate you guys so much. I'm out of your hair. Peace.